Rebecca, can you give us your overview of the budget?
Yes, well, certainly from the employment aspect, and well, on a generic basis, I think most people consider it was a relatively good budget for business overall. A good business for those employees that have still got jobs, and those employees that fall into self-employed income support scheme again. But there is a view that was it papering over the cracks? Was it kicking the can further down the road? But on that basis, what's the alternative really? Because it's really providing a bit of a lifeline over the next 12 to 18 months to 2 years in terms of some of the measures introduced before the pain perhaps really hits. So I think it was continuing to provide a little bit of pain relief, but we all know what's to come.
And there was an expected extension of the furlough scheme, but it's come with some changes.
Well, there's an extension in terms of it will continue as a scheme until the 30th of September of this year. And I say this year because who knows whether it's going to be extended further. There are other European countries and other global, other countries elsewhere around the world that have extended it almost on a semi-permanent basis. But we know that until the end of September, from the employee perspective, they're going to continue to receive 80% of their salary up to the cap of £2,500. But the changes come in on the basis that the employers in July will have to contribute 10% of that 80%, and then in August and September will need to contribute 20%. What I think is also just quite key to make clear is that any employee that was employed as at midnight on the 2nd of March, and provided the employer had submitted a RTI, a real-time information assessment to HMRC, a real-time information return to HMRC, then those employees will also be covered. So you might find that there are new employees that are now going to be asked to go on to furlough. So that's sort of relatively good news for those companies that hadn't fully utilised furlough previously.
And it looks like there will be more people able to claim the self-employment income support scheme as well.
Yes, no, absolutely. The estimates that are being talked about are an extra 600,000 people, and that's because previously you had to have put a tax assessment in for 2018-2019, so you had to put your self-assessment returns in for those years. The 4th and 5th grants coming up will allow all of those who are self-employed and who are also subject to the eligibility rules of the self-employed income support scheme, provided they submitted tax returns again at this magic date of 2nd of March 2021, they will now be eligible to receive the grant as well. A couple of changes, however, with the self-employed income support scheme. So as the Chancellor was saying in the budget, he wants to target support where it's needed most. So the 5th grant, so the 3 months up to the end of September, you will have to show that your turnover fell more than 30%. And if it did, you will still be eligible to get the full grant. If it didn't, you'll only actually get 30% of the self-employed grant. So starting to see a little bit of tailoring depending upon the pain suffered by the individual.
And the Chancellor also announced some Help to Grow initiatives.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably quite positive news for small, medium businesses. Those Help to Grow initiatives are based on upskilling managers in terms of their skill set. So looking at providing them with a 12-week program that's going to be provided by business schools around the country. Apparently you can do it while still working. So I'm not sure how many managers are going to be delighted when they're told you're going on a 12-week program and you're going to carry on working as well. But financial modules will be there, innovation modules, digital adoption and digital skills will be part of that management program. So it's going to be funded up to 90%. So the only outlay for the employer in terms of the hard cost outlay for the course will be £750. Now, I would fully expect that the employers will have to pay that rather than passing the cost on. It is designed, however, that it is only senior management, so senior decision makers that would go, so be the managing director, the finance director, and it's only for employers of up to 250 employees. So it is targeted towards those employers that probably couldn't have that degree of learning and development in their budgets, particularly post-COVID. And then there's another Help to Grow, which is called Help to Grow Digital, which is giving free advice on digital skills, technology, online platforms. And that's also going to give businesses discounts on software that employees will be using, so up to 50% on software. We don't know the details yet of that. We don't know what sort of software is going to be involved. So like a lot of the budget, the detail is yet to come, but it is welcome. It's also acknowledging that that digital online move is not going into reverse. We need the skills of people. We need employers to invest in the right software for people as well.
And there were a number of tax changes, historical tax changes announced for both employers and employees.
Well, yes, I mean, in terms of the impact on employees, we have the situation where the personal tax thresholds have historically increased with inflation. But the Chancellor did announce that those thresholds will be frozen from next year until 2026. Now, that in real terms will mean that employees, if they have pay rises, they're not going to benefit in full from those pay rises because their personal tax situation is going to be impacted by the freezing of those personal tax thresholds. So it's possible employers could look at alternative ways of rewarding employees, so it cushions perhaps the freezing of the tax threshold impact. But we'll have to see. I think the announcement from the Chancellor in terms of nobody's take-home pay will be affected in terms of what it is today. Well, of course it will be. If you then subsequently get a pay rise, it won't be that people have to pay any more tax in terms of the current year. But going forwards, if they don't have that increase in the personal tax threshold, then they are certainly going to see an impact on their salary from 2022.